I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's NewsStand, and we're going to take a look at something awesome today that came out. We're going to take a look at He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I know, right? Everybody's so excited. But when you think of this character, when most people think about this character, He-Man, they mostly think back to the 80s cartoon and basically anything that it entailed. Prince Adam looked identical to He-Man, right? Maybe the only difference you really saw was a little bit in the champagne blonde hair and a deeper voice. And then, of course, the toys didn't show them differently and either. So Teela was also this kind of grumpy woman who loved He-Man, but hated Adam. And there's more to it, but that, it's a kid's cartoon. But there was some teases to the lore, but hardly any was shown. Now, we're going to talk about He-Man. We're going to talk about Kevin Smith's new show coming to Netflix. And we're going to address some of the ridiculous rumors that are going around right now when it comes to Teela, when it comes to Masters of the Universe. And honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, this looks fantastic. They are calling it a love letter to the fans. We're going to take a look at a post that is written by Kevin Smith, basically saying it is a love letter to the fans and it is made for an older audience. So I cannot wait to see what this brings. But what a lot of people who just know the cartoon don't know how much of the old lore was there, but it was rarely used in that cartoon, right? You got to kind of go to the comic books for some of the other stuff. Adam and He-Man were meant to actually look completely different. And we saw a series in the 2000s that actually got that right. It was meant to be this whole Shazam thing, right? But Teela, she loved Adam. She loved He-Man, rather. But her detesting of Adam was because he came off kind of like a wuss, kind of like a coward, which again, showing him looking nothing like He-Man makes that a lot more acceptable, right? And also because she wanted him to do more to be the prince that he should be. A plot point always shown in the background was rarely emphasized, except for one episode, was the fact that Teela was, and this is very important, the daughter of the sorceress, which has a lot of untapped potential and a destiny that he keeps her bounded to Adam, right? And Teela was always destined to be with Adam. She was the Lois to his Superman, the MJ to his Spider-Man, the NyQuil pudding to his Bill Cosby. Okay, you get my point here, though. They were always destined to be together. So this whole we're going to give her a girlfriend thing is absolutely ridiculous. They were actually supposed to, destined to have a child. So, I'm excited. But the DC Comics, once one of the heads of Mattel, which is Rob David, got involved, so much of the lore was actually used. It was done differently than expected. But it didn't deviate either. They embraced that. The sorceress was killed. Teela became the new sorceress. Adam became the king. And they went to war with Skeletor, et cetera, right? A lot of this was taken and left out of the show because it was designed to be a kid's show. But once the dust settled, Adam and Teela got married. Even in the He-Man and the Thundercats, which Rob David was involved with, there was stuff hinted off about Adam and Teela, right? So in the Kevin Smith series, it is continuing and wrapping up that 80s cartoon, which again, didn't tap too much into that lore or Bible, series Bible for the longest time. So out of all the characters, Teela is the one, through the sorceress being her mother, who is perfect to expand upon the lore for the finale. The whole rumor like Teela becomes the new He-Man is complete and utter BS. It is clear what these rumors were meant. And she would, embrace her sorceress side and then step up. That is the power Okay, bad joke. If any, she'd get from the Sword of Power, not the He-Man power. So again, Teela was always and has always been shown to get along with Adam. It would make zero sense for, just by Adam. I like girls now. Okay. And Rob David is heavily involved with this one. He also worked with Kevin on the prequel comic and has proven, that he wouldn't have Adam cooked and he will keep him with Teela. So I wanted to kind of address that before we go into this, because this looks so good. Now, there is a prequel comic, and that is coming in June. But as for this series, we're getting it in July, and that's going to be the first part. I want to show you something very cool, at least in my opinion, very cool. Now, right here, we have something from Kevin Smith. And Kevin Smith, of course, is on this. He's calling it a, huge passion project. But he says, it is the faithful continuation and recreation of the original classic character designs. Look at these. We have to look at these. Just look at your screen. It is beautiful. I absolutely love. See, this is what I was talking about earlier. The massive difference between He-Man and Adam. Oh my God. This picture, I seen it. I was, yep. We're going to get even more of a nerdgasm when we talk about casting. And that's what we're going to do right now, because this is fantastic. Now, if you have seen the Supergirl show, and it is Melissa Benoit, her husband, Chris Wood is his name. And he is going to be He-Man. He does a fantastic job as Mon-El. I really like him initially. Now, I did dip off after a couple seasons, so I don't know how it was after that, but let's talk about some of the huge names. We have Mark Hamill as Skeletor. Yeah, Lena Headey as Evil-Lyn, and then we have Sarah Michelle Gellar, I haven't heard that name in a long time, as Teela. Alicia Silverstone as Queen Marlena, and then, of course, Batman will be in the show. Kevin Conroy as Merman. I cannot believe or honestly get over the fact that there is so much in this. There is so much, using the lore and the mythos that are intact with Prince Adam and He-Man, using everything and calling it, saying the shackles are off to build a richer lore and explore different aspects of beloved characters. Now, right here, we get to see them engage in not in just clashing swords, but in far deeper conversations than we've ever seen before in the cartoon. Now, in the comic, we've seen some talked about, but even so, it's not just simply these two dudes, He-Man and Skeletor, that are trying to beat each other up for decades, but it is a little bit. It is a little bit. We get to tell stories of abuse. We get all kinds of stories of isolation, grief. We use these characters as long as they have been around, and most people consider them toys or action figures. And I understand that, to tell insanely human stories set in a very inhuman world. I think it's about time. I mean, and I know some people really aren't into He-Man, and it really depends on what era you grew up. Honestly, He-Man was a little bit before my time, but then going back, actually, I didn't even like He-Man until I read He-Man and Injustice crossover. And then I went back. So I went back in my late 20s and actually looked at it. Honestly enough, I enjoyed it even at that. Oh, God, what's that say about my maturity level? So Kevin Smith, he said, do me a favor. When I used to watch He-Man and build the shows as a kid, I legitimately thought that He-Man was always on the verge of getting killed by Skeletor. I remember that feeling, sort of as a kid, more with stuff like Batman, but even so. And he says people would see them as some sort of goofy IP, but this is a rich tapestry, a world full of characters. Please, just don't talk down to it. Don't make fun of it. Don't wink. Just treat it like Shakespeare. Those are our marching orders. I absolutely love that. I love that he says right here, it is a love letter to fans. That's where your money is. Fan service. A love letter to fans using the rich canonical history that these characters have. And then, he talks about how much he loved Invincible. And they did the exact same thing. It was a love letter to fans. And Robert Kirkman, everything he's done is paying off in tenfold. So yes, he's going in that Robert Kirkman line. It makes a lot of sense. So it does say that it, walks in lockstep with the old show. Then about halfway through it, things take a shift. And we're going to get periods of growth. And I'm sure they'll go back and explain the sorceress and who Teela's mother is. And even though, at points she doesn't know at all. So this is going to be awesome. I am extremely excited that we are seeing somebody put the fans first. I am extremely excited that we are seeing a huge, we've got more names here. You can read them on the screen, but, we are seeing a huge amount of talent put into this. Not only the production studio, not only Kevin Smith, but the names, Jason Mewes, I love him, Phil LaMarr. We have amazing names here, amazing people bringing a show that I bet I'm hoping is going to be very good. And I love this. David, who I spoke about earlier, says, becoming the best version of yourself has always been at the heart of He-Man. And it's not just true, and it's now true in Revelation. He wanted to reiterate that and make it more broad. It's not just He-Man, it's something special inside him, but every single character and every viewer, we all have that power. I love it. You know what that reminds me a lot of is the fact that we have character like Superman, who isn't meant to be relatable. He's meant to inspire. And that's where they're, kind of going with this. It's meant to inspire. Maybe that's what we need right now. I don't know. Either way, I can't wait. It looks absolutely fantastic. The artwork is phenomenal. And I'm excited. I was really excited when I seen this today, obviously. But we got Batman and He-Man all over again. I'm excited. Anyways, let me know, of course, what you guys think about this. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
I'm not just a picture, I'm more than